prison guard almost dropped his flashlight when he looked into cell 214. The bed looked normal at first. A body-shaped lump was under the gray blanket. One arm even hung over the side of the bed like someone sleeping after a long night. But when Officer Daniel Brooks stepped closer, his stomach turned cold. The man in the bed
He's
was
gone.
fake.
Initiate
A rolled-up
lockdown
mattress,
sequence immediately.
a pillow,
Check
a
all
prison
camera
uniform
feeds leading to the
stuffed with
perimeter.
towels. The real prisoner was gone. Daniel's breathing became fast. He checked the clock on the wall again. 4:12 a.m. His hands shook as he grabbed the radio on his shoulder. "Inmate missing from cell 214, he whispered at first. Then louder. "Inmate missing from cell 214. Alarms exploded through Blackwater State Prison. Red lights flashed across the dark hallways. Metal doors slammed shut. Guards ran in every direction. But the worst part was not that a prisoner escaped. The worst part was this. Nobody knew when he escaped. For the next 10 minutes, officers searched every hallway, laundry room, storage closet, kitchen, and rooftop corner inside the prison. Nothing. Then a young guard rushed into the control room carrying security logs. His face looked pale. "You need to see this," he said. The room became silent as officers gathered around the monitors. One by one, they checked every camera. At 10:03 a.m. the previous day, inmate Marcus Reed was seen walking back to his cell after breakfast. At 10:11 a.m., a guard passed his cell during routine inspection. The fake body was already in the bed. Marcus Reed had escaped at least 18 hours ago. 18 hours. And nobody noticed. The prison went dead quiet. Because Marcus Reed was not some small-time criminal. He was the smartest bank robber in the state. A man famous for escaping impossible situations. A man who once smiled during sentencing like he already knew prison could not hold him. And now he had 18 hours to disappear. But nobody understood one thing. How did a man escape from the most secure prison in the state without a single person seeing him? And what was waiting outside for him? 3 months earlier, Marcus Reed arrived at Blackwater State Prison during a heavy rainstorm. The prison sat far from any town, surrounded by thick woods and tall fences covered in razor wire. The place looked less like a prison and more like a giant concrete monster sitting alone in the middle of nowhere. Most prisoners hated Blackwater the moment they saw it. Marcus smiled at it. The guards noticed that smile immediately. "Something funny?" Officer Daniel Brooks asked while walking him through the front gate. Marcus looked around slowly. "No," he answered calmly. "Just thinking." "About what?" Marcus kept walking. How every place has a weakness. Daniel did not like him after that. Nobody did. Marcus Reed was 34 years old. Tall. Quiet. Sharp blue eyes that always looked like he was solving a puzzle inside his head. He was serving 25 years for armed robbery and escape from police custody. The newspapers called him the Ghost Thief. Not because he hurt people. Because he vanished before police could catch him. Every single time. Until now. Inside Blackwater, prisoners quickly learned Marcus was different. He never fought. Never shouted. Never joined prison gangs. While other inmates played cards or lifted weights in the yard, Marcus watched. He watched the guards change shifts. He watched supply trucks enter the gates. He watched which cameras moved and which ones stayed still too long. Some prisoners thought he was planning another escape. Others laughed at the idea. "Nobody escapes Blackwater," an inmate named Curtis told him one afternoon during lunch. Marcus calmly stirred his mashed potatoes. "Everybody leaves eventually," he said. Curtis laughed. "No. I mean alive." Marcus smiled slightly but said nothing. Weeks passed. Then something strange started happening. Tiny things. Easy things to miss. A screwdriver disappeared from the prison workshop. A maintenance door near the laundry room was found unlocked twice. One security camera lost signal for exactly 30 seconds during a thunderstorm. The prison staff blamed old equipment. But Officer Daniel Brooks felt uneasy. One night during patrol, he stopped outside Marcus Reed's cell. Marcus sat quietly on his bed reading a torn paperback book. "You ever think about escaping?" Daniel asked suddenly. Marcus looked up slowly. Every day. Daniel gripped his flashlight tighter. You think that's funny? No, Marcus replied. I think it keeps me sane. Daniel stared at him for another moment before walking away. But Marcus's final words followed him down the hallway. The dangerous thing about prisons, Marcus said softly, is that people stop paying attention after a while. 2 weeks later, Daniel discovered something strange during inspection. Marcus had drawn tiny marks under his metal bed frame. Little scratches. Tiny lines grouped together. Like someone counting days. Daniel bent lower with his flashlight. Then his eyes widened. The scratches were not counting days. They were measurements. And at that exact moment, the lights inside Blackwater State Prison suddenly went out. The prison went completely dark. For one long second, nobody moved. Then screams exploded across the cell blocks. Prisoners banged cups against metal bars. Some shouted for guards. Others laughed like wild animals trapped in cages. Emergency alarms began beeping through the darkness. Officer Daniel Brooks grabbed his flashlight and turned it on fast. Thin white light cut through the black hallway. Backup generators should be on already, he muttered into his radio. Static answered him. That made his chest tighten. Blackwater State Prison had emergency power systems. The lights should never stay off longer than 10 seconds. But the darkness stayed. Daniel rushed back to cell 214. Marcus Reed was still sitting calmly on his bed. Reading. Like nothing was wrong. You know something about this? Daniel snapped. Marcus slowly looked up from his book. About what? The blackout. Marcus shrugged lightly. Looks pretty dark to me too. Daniel stepped closer to the bars. His flashlight beam moved across the cell walls, the sink, the bed frame. Then it stopped. The tiny measurement scratches under the bed were gone. Daniel frowned. He had seen them seconds ago. Now the metal looked freshly scraped clean. How did you? A loud crash echoed somewhere down the hallway. Daniel turned instantly. Another guard shouted through the darkness. Fight in Block C. Prison riots could spread fast. Daniel cursed under his breath and hurried away toward the noise. Behind him, Marcus Reed quietly closed his book and smiled. The power returned 7 minutes later. By morning, prison officials blamed the blackout on storm damage. The fight in Block C turned out to be 2 inmates punching each other over stolen cigarettes. Everything returned to normal. At least that was what the prison believed. But Daniel could not stop thinking about Marcus Reed. The next few days felt strange. Marcus became even quieter than before. He skipped recreation time twice. Skipped card games. Skipped television hour. Instead, he spent most of his time inside his cell, reading or lying silently on his bed. To other guards, that looked harmless. To Daniel, it felt wrong. One afternoon, he entered the prison cafeteria during lunch duty and noticed Marcus sitting alone at a table near the back wall. A janitor pushed a cleaning cart past him. For less than 1 second, Marcus's hand touched the side of the cart. Nothing else happened. But Daniel noticed it. And Marcus noticed Daniel noticing it. Their eyes met across the room. Marcus smiled again. That same calm smile. Daniel walked quickly toward the janitor after lunch ended. Stop the cart, he ordered. The confused janitor froze. Daniel searched every shelf, rag bucket, and trash bag. Nothing. No tools. No weapons. No notes. The janitor looked annoyed. Can I go now? Daniel slowly stepped aside. Yeah. But his gut still told him something bad was coming. That night, rain hammered against the prison walls. Thunder shook the windows. Inside cell 214, Marcus Reed sat awake while most prisoners slept. His eyes stayed fixed on the hallway clock outside his bars. 1:17 a.m. Slowly, he reached beneath his mattress and pulled out a thin piece of metal. Not much bigger than a finger. A prison-made tool. Marcus listened carefully. Footsteps approached. He slid the metal back under the mattress just before Officer Lewis walked past during night patrol. Lewis flashed his light inside the cell. Marcus pretended to sleep. The guard moved on. Marcus waited 30 seconds, then sat up again. Carefully, he moved to the back corner of the cell near the sink. He knelt beside the wall and removed one loose screw from a vent cover. Behind the vent was darkness, and hidden inside the darkness was a folded piece of paper. Marcus unfolded it slowly. A map. Not a full prison map. Just one section. Laundry room. Maintenance hallway. Drain tunnel. Exit point. At the bottom of the paper were 3 words written in black ink. Tomorrow. During transport. Marcus stared at the note for a long moment. Then he burned it carefully using a tiny lighter hidden inside a hollow bar of soap. The paper curled into black ash. By morning, the rain had stopped. Blackwater Prison returned to its usual routine. Breakfast trays. Head counts. Locked doors opening and closing. Marcus acted normal. Maybe too normal. Daniel noticed it immediately. During morning inspection, Marcus even joked with another inmate for the first time in weeks. That scared Daniel more than silence. Around noon, the prison loudspeaker crackled alive. Laundry transport team report to lower maintenance level. Marcus lowered his eyes slightly. Only for a second. But Daniel caught it. And suddenly every nerve in his body screamed danger. He walked straight to the prison captain's office. "Something's happening," Daniel said firmly. Captain Harris barely looked up from his paperwork. "You got proof?" "No. But Reed is planning something." The captain sighed heavily. "Brooks, that inmate has been inside a locked cell every night for 3 months. He's smart. He's still trapped." Daniel leaned closer. "Sir, I really think we should lock the prison down." Captain Harris shook his head. "You're letting that guy get inside your head." Daniel left frustrated. But he did not stop watching. At 1:40 p.m., laundry carts rolled through the lower prison halls like they always did every Thursday. Dirty uniforms in. Clean uniforms out. Boring routine. Easy to ignore. Marcus Reed pushed one of the carts while wearing handcuffs beside 2 guards. Standard inmate labor duty. Nothing unusual. The hallway cameras showed everything. Marcus walking calmly. Guards chatting. Laundry carts squeaking across the floor. Then the cameras blinked once. Just once. 8 seconds of missing footage. When the video returned, everything looked normal again. Too normal. 1 guard was gone. Marcus Reed was gone. And 1 laundry cart sat tipped over beside an open maintenance door. The alarm hit Blackwater State Prison like a hammer. "Lockdown! Lockdown! All units respond!" Red lights flashed so fast it felt like the whole prison was bleeding light. Officer Daniel Brooks ran down the maintenance hallway, his shoes sliding slightly on the wet floor. The tipped laundry cart was still there. Uniforms scattered everywhere like fallen bodies. The open maintenance door was the worst part. It led into a narrow service tunnel that no regular prisoner should ever see. Daniel pointed his flashlight inside. "Reed," he shouted. "If you're in there, come out now." Only dripping water answered him. Behind him, more guards arrived, breathing heavily. Captain Harris pushed through the crowd. "What happened?" he barked. Daniel didn't take his eyes off the tunnel. "He's gone," Daniel said. "He used the laundry transport." The captain looked at the open door, then at the scattered uniforms. "That's impossible," Harris said sharply. "He was handcuffed." Daniel pointed at the broken cuff on the floor. "Not cut. Not snapped. Unlocked." Harris went silent for a moment. Then he gave a harsh order. "Shut every exit. Search every tunnel. Nobody leaves this prison." But even as he said it, Daniel knew something was wrong. Marcus Reed didn't just run. He disappeared like smoke. Inside the maintenance tunnel, Marcus moved fast but quietly. The tunnel was narrow, filled with old pipes dripping cold water. The air smelled like rust and mold. Behind him, a guard named Officer Lewis followed closely, flashlight shaking. "Stop!" Lewis shouted. "You can't go deeper in there." Marcus didn't stop. He turned a corner and disappeared into darkness. Lewis ran after him. But when Lewis reached the corner, Marcus was gone. Only a small metal door remained. Half open. Lewis pushed it slowly. It led to a lower drainage path. Cold water rushed ankle-high. And something strange was written on the wall. An arrow, drawn in black grease, pointing forward. Lewis swallowed hard. "Brooks, I need backup," he whispered into his radio. Daniel heard it and immediately changed direction. He ran down the stairs into the lower tunnels. His flashlight bounced wildly as he moved. "Marcus!" Daniel shouted again. "This is over." No answer. Only the sound of dripping water and distant metal echoes. Then Daniel saw something that made his heart drop. A prison uniform, floating in the water. But it wasn't empty. Inside the uniform was something stuffed again. A fake body. Just like Cell 214. Daniel froze. "He did it again," he whispered. Captain Harris arrived behind him moments later. "This doesn't make sense," Harris said. "He can't be in two places." Daniel pointed at the uniform. "He's not trying to be in two places," Daniel said slowly. "He's making us look in the wrong ones." A loud metallic bang echoed deeper in the tunnel. Everyone turned instantly. Lewis had moved ahead without permission. "Officer Lewis!" Daniel shouted. "Stop!" But it was too late. Lewis disappeared into the darkness. Seconds passed. Nothing. Then a short scream. Cut off instantly. Daniel and Harris rushed forward together. They found Lewis's flashlight on the ground. Still on. Still shining. Pointing at a wall. On that wall, something new was written. 3 words. "You are late." Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. "That's not just escape," he whispered. "That's control." Captain Harris grabbed his radio, voice shaking slightly. "Shut down all tunnel access. I want full perimeter sweep. Now." But even as orders flew, Daniel noticed something else. A small vent above them was open, and fresh scratches surrounded it. Someone had climbed through recently. Daniel aimed his flashlight up. The vent led into an old service shaft, barely wide enough for a person. He stepped closer. Then he saw it. Footprints. Leading inside. Slowly disappearing into darkness above the prison. And from somewhere far away in that shaft, a faint sound echoed down. Footsteps. Moving calmly. Like Marcus Reed was already far ahead of them. And still escaping deeper into the prison's hidden systems. The footsteps in the shaft above did not stop. They only got softer. Like Marcus Reed was moving farther away, step by step, into parts of Blackwater Prison no one was even supposed to know existed. Officer Daniel Brooks kept his flashlight aimed upward, his hand shaking slightly. "That vent leads where?" Captain Harris asked sharply. Daniel swallowed. "I don't know," he said honestly. "It's not on the official maps." That made the captain go quiet. Behind them, officers dragged Officer Lewis's dropped flashlight away from the tunnel floor. No one spoke. The prison felt heavier now, like the walls themselves were watching. Then the radio cracked. "All units report possible movement near the east ventilation grid," a voice said. Daniel turned instantly. "East grid, that's above the laundry system," he said. Captain Harris nodded fast. "Move." They ran back through the tunnels, climbing stairs 2 at a time. The air grew warmer as they went up, filled with the smell of metal and old dust. When they reached the maintenance level again, everything looked normal. Too normal. Laundry carts were still there. Lights were still on. Guards were talking quietly like nothing had happened. But Daniel knew better now. Marcus Reed was not loud. He was not chaotic. He was patient. And patience was what made him dangerous. Then one guard rushed up. "Sir," he said to Captain Harris, "we found something in the laundry room ceiling." They all moved quickly. Inside the laundry room, machines hummed like nothing was wrong. But above them, a metal panel hung slightly open. Daniel climbed a ladder first. He pushed the panel wider. And froze. Inside the ceiling space was not empty. It was organized. neatly arranged tools, scraps of wire, a stolen security badge, and something worse, a guard uniform. Captain Harris climbed up behind him. "What is all this?" he demanded. Daniel picked up the security badge. It belonged to Lewis, the missing officer. His face tightened. "He didn't just escape," Daniel said slowly. "He moved through here before the laundry transport ever started." The captain's voice dropped. "You're saying he was hiding inside the prison systems?" Daniel nodded once. "Yes. And we helped him move." A loud metallic click echoed behind them. Everyone turned. One of the laundry machines had started on its own. But no one had touched it. The drum inside slowly rotated. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Then suddenly stopped. A folded piece of paper slid out of the machine tray. Daniel grabbed it immediately. It was damp, but readable. 3 words were written again. "Check the roof." Captain Harris looked up immediately. "Roof access is sealed," he said. Daniel shook his head. "No roof is sealed if someone knows how the system works." Sirens began again. Not the main alarm this time. A different one. Higher frequency. Emergency rooftop breach alert. The guards ran again. This time upward. Through staircases. Through locked doors that were suddenly found already open. Every lock they reached looked untouched. Yet unlocked. When they reached the rooftop access door, it was slightly open. Wind rushed in from outside. Cold. Sharp. Daniel stepped out first. The roof was wide, surrounded by tall fences and razor wire glowing under the floodlights. At first, it looked empty. Then Daniel saw it. A rope. Dangling over the far side of the roof. Moving slightly in the wind. Captain Harris stepped beside him. "No one can get past the perimeter fence," he said quickly. Daniel didn't answer. He was already walking toward the rope. Halfway there, he stopped. Something else was on the roof. A small radio. Still on. Playing static. Then a voice came through it. Calm. Soft. Familiar. "Officer Brooks," Marcus Reed said through the radio. "You're getting closer." Daniel's eyes widened. "How are you even broadcasting?" he started. But Marcus interrupted. "You've been chasing me inside a cage," the voice said. "But the cage was never the prison." The radio crackled louder. Daniel looked around fast. "Where are you?" he shouted. Silence. Then a shadow moved across the far edge of the roof. Just for a second. Someone standing near the razor wire fence. Watching them. Then gone again. Captain Harris pulled out his binoculars. But when he looked through them, there was nothing there. Just empty rooftop. And the rope swinging gently over the edge. As if someone had already gone down it. And vanished into the night below Blackwater Prison. The rope still moved slightly in the wind. Daniel Brooks stood at the edge of the rooftop, staring down into the dark outside Blackwater State Prison. The fence below was high, sharp with razor wire, and the floodlights made long white shadows across the ground. But there were no signs of Marcus Reed. Captain Harris clenched his jaw. "No one could survive dropping from that height and escaping the perimeter in under a minute," he said. Daniel didn't answer right away. He kept looking at the rope. It wasn't tied like a normal escape rope. It was tied perfectly. Too perfectly. Like it had been placed there, not thrown. Then Daniel noticed something strange near the rooftop door. A small maintenance panel was open. Inside it, wires had been carefully pulled apart. Not broken. Not forced. Prepared. Daniel's voice turned quiet. "This wasn't an escape out." Captain Harris frowned. "What are you talking about?" Daniel pointed at the wires. "He didn't climb out of the prison." He paused. "He built a way for us to think he did." For a moment, no one spoke. Then a sudden radio burst came through again, crackling loudly. "Officer Brooks," Marcus Reed's voice returned. Calm as ever. Daniel grabbed the radio immediately. "Marcus, where are you?" A soft laugh came through the static. "You've been running through my path the whole time," Marcus said. "Every tunnel. Every vent. Every door I left open. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Why are you doing this? Silence. Then Marcus spoke again. Because prisons are not walls, he said. They are systems. And systems can be understood. The radio went silent again. Captain Harris snapped, "Track that signal." A technician rushed in with a portable scanner. He worked fast, sweating. "Sir, the signal is bouncing," he said. "Bouncing?" Daniel asked. "Yes. It's not coming from outside." The technician swallowed. "It's coming from inside the prison." A cold silence fell over the rooftop. Inside. Not outside. Daniel slowly looked back toward the building. Every window. Every vent. Every hallway below them. Marcus Reed was still inside Blackwater State Prison. Somewhere. Hidden in plain sight. Then suddenly, every alarm in the prison stopped. All at once. No sirens. No lights. Just silence. Too deep. Too complete. Captain Harris whispered, "What just happened?" Then, one by one, the prison floodlights went off. The rooftop fell into darkness. Daniel turned on his flashlight instantly, spinning around. "Everyone stay together," he shouted. But there was no response. Only footsteps. Slow. Steady. Coming from behind them. Daniel swung his flashlight around fast. The beam hit nothing. Then moved again. And there he was. Marcus Reed. Standing near the rooftop door. Not running. Not hiding. Just standing. Calm. Like he had been there the whole time. Captain Harris stepped back in shock. "Security. How did you get up here?" Marcus didn't answer him. He only looked at Daniel. "You finally saw it," Marcus said softly. Daniel's voice was tight. "Saw what?" Marcus gestured around the prison. "The truth." He stepped slightly closer. "I never escaped the prison for 18 hours because I left it." A long silence followed. Daniel's eyes widened slightly. Then, "Where were you?" Marcus looked at him calmly. "Inside it," he said. "Everywhere." The radio in Daniel's hand suddenly turned on by itself, even though he hadn't pressed anything. Marcus's voice echoed again through it, even though Marcus wasn't speaking anymore. "I didn't break out," it said. "I learned how to move through everything you built." The prison systems below began to flicker back on slowly. Lights returning one by one. Sirens restarting, but weaker now. Like the prison itself was confused. Captain Harris reached for his weapon. But Marcus raised one hand slightly. Not threatening. Just stopping him. "You won't find me by searching harder," Marcus said. Then he took one step back toward the darkness. "And you won't keep me by building stronger walls." And just like that, he vanished again. Not through a door. Not through a rope. Not through the fence. Just gone. The rooftop was silent again. Daniel stood there, breathing heavily, staring at the empty space where Marcus Reed had been. Captain Harris whispered, shaken, "Where did he go?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. Because deep down, he finally understood something terrifying. Marcus Reed was not escaping Blackwater State Prison. He was still inside it, waiting for the next move no one could see coming.